Once upon a time, at the edge of a whispering forest, there stood a crooked cottage in a quiet village. Inside lived a widow and her two teenage daughters. The older girl, Fanny, was clever, proud, and sharp-tongued. She spent her days at a cloudy little mirror, perfecting her hair and smile as if admiration were owed to her. The younger girl, Rose, was gentle and hardworking. While Fanny rested, Rose swept the floor, mended clothes, stirred thin soup, and carried heavy buckets of water. Their mother's love was loud for Fanny and cold for Rose. In that house, favoritism was the first spell ever cast. Before sunrise each morning, Rose rose to rekindle the fire and knead rough bread. Then she walked the long, stony path to the spring. From her bed, the widow would call, "Don't dawdle," and Fanny would laugh, "Hurry up, Rose. You wouldn't want me to suffer." When Rose returned, she served the cool water first and kept working. One scorching afternoon, the water jar ran low. The widow snapped, "Rose, to the spring. Fill it to the brim, and don't break it." Rose's tired legs carried her down the shimmering forest path. At last she reached the shaded pool beneath old trees, whose roots curled like sleeping snakes. As she knelt to fill her bucket, a weak voice pleaded, "Child, could you spare a little water for an old woman?" A ragged old woman sat beside the pool with an empty cup. Rose hesitated, thinking of her mother's temper, then saw the woman's dry lips. "Of course," she said. Rose rinsed the cup clean, filled it with cold spring water, and steadied the trembling hands. When the woman finished, Rose refilled the cup without being asked and sat beside her to make sure she was well. The old woman studied her with a secret smile. In the next breath, rags softened into a gown that shimmered like moonlight on water. A crooked stick straightened into a polished staff. Her eyes shone bright as stars. "I am a fairy," she said. "Few show kindness when they are tired and afraid. You offered more than water. You offered your heart." Rose could only whisper, "My heart?" "Yes, and I will give you a gift to match it." The fairy lifted her hand. "From this day forward, every word you speak shall sow beauty. With each word, a rose petal or a precious jewel will fall from your lips." Rose walked back in a daze, one hand over her mouth. But wonder does not stay hidden long. When she entered the cottage, her mother was already angry. "About time! What took you so long?" "I'm sorry, Mother," Rose began, shaking. "There was an old woman at the spring, and she—" A petal drifted to the floor. A pearl rolled softly. A diamond chimed against the stone. The widow froze. Fanny leaned forward, wide-eyed. As Rose explained the fairy's test and gift, more roses and jewels spilled at her feet. Greed lit the widow's face. "So kindness brings riches," she murmured, clutching the gems. "Then my darling Fanny must go at once." She dressed Fanny in her best ribbon and necklace. "Walk the same path. Speak sweetly. We will be rich beyond dreams." Fanny smirked. "I'll do it far better than Rose." But on the road she thought only of jewels and praise. At the spring she found not a ragged beggar, but a splendid lady in a soft gown. "My dear," the lady said, "would you fetch me a drink? I am very tired." "You have hands," Fanny snapped. "Use them." The lady asked again, gently. Fanny folded her arms. "I'm not your servant. I came for my sake, not yours." The air stilled. The lady rose and light shimmered around her. She became the fairy once more, bright and ancient. "I met your sister," she said. "Where she gave freely, you hoard. Where she spoke gently, you spit cruelty." Fanny stepped back, stunned. "You wanted a gift like hers. Then you shall have one that suits your heart." The fairy lifted her hand. "From this moment on, every word you speak shall spill a toad or a snake from your lips." "You wouldn't dare!" Fanny cried. A fat toad dropped into the grass. A small pale snake slid out, hissing. Her screams only brought more. Fanny fled home and burst through the door. "Mother!" 3 toads and a long, thin snake tumbled onto the floor. The widow shrieked. "What is this?" Fanny tried to explain, But each word released more creatures. The cottage filled with croaks and hisses. In horror, the widow turned on Rose. This is your fault. I never wish this on anyone, Rose said quietly. A few small pearls slipped from her lips and rolled across the floor. News traveled fast. Soon the village whispered of two sisters, one whose words bloomed into jewels and F's. Children watched Rose with wonder. When she greeted them kindly, petals fell like blessings at their feet. Some jewels bought bread and medicine for the poor. Far beyond the village, a young prince heard the story. He came without parade, curious and cautious. He found Rose at the well, drawing water as always. She bowed shyly and said, "Good day, sir," and tiny diamonds and a pale rose fell into her hands. She tried to hide them rather than boast. That humility moved him most. "You are not safe in a house that uses you," the prince said. "Come with me. Let me give you a home where you are honored." The widow did not beg Rose to stay. "Go then," she hissed. "If you won't spill diamonds for me, I have no use for you." Rose left with tears and hope, a soft trail of petals marking her steps. In time, Rose became the prince's wife and a gentle counselor. She spoke carefully, knowing each word carried weight. The jewels that fell from her lips repaired roofs, fed hungry families, and built a small school for every child.